Okay, hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me? Hello. Can you hear me? Yes, you can. Okay, that's perfect. And let me also activate my camera. Did I prepare anything for today? Of course not. That's just a spontaneous stream today. And what I want to do is actually have a look at an old game that I made. Like, I don't know how old it is. Let me check it out. It's called Quilly Adventure. Can I just search over here? Yes. And when was the last commit? The last commit was 2 years ago, and that was actually one of the first projects, actually a quite big project, I would say, that I finished completely, and where I also learned the Kotlin programming language quite well because of the assistance of him, Dr. Schlaubi. Great thanks and shout out to him, and also the guy who makes the LibGDX library. And what I want to do, first of all, I want to have a look if this game is still running. And if it is, then I want to update it a little bit to latest Kotlin version, latest LibGDX version, LibGDX version, and so on. And I want to try to run it then in the browser with the TVM backend. From what I know, this project, yeah, it had an Android backend as well, which personally I don't care about anymore. I can also deactivate the text, by the way. I just see that now. So I don't really care about the Android backend, so maybe I simply delete that folder if it causes troubles, because there's always this issue with the Android Gradle plugin and things like that, which are sometimes very tedious to fix them, and I don't want to bother with that. But yeah, so first things first, let's try and simply clone it and see if it's still working or not. So get from VCS, then we should be able to clone it here. Yep. The folder name is a little bit weird, but I hope it's working. Okay, couple of things already happening. I'm not even sure what kind of Java version was used back then. I could imagine it was version 8, maybe 11. Not 100% sure. Also not sure what kind of Gradle setup I did back then. I think we did the full Kotlin style, so we had the build Gradle KTS files as well, which I might throw away, not sure. Let's see what's happening. So at the moment it's building, so I guess it's downloading stuff. Gradle 671, we will update that afterwards if everything is still working, and then step by step bring everything up to date. So SDK location, we don't have that, but let me see if we can maybe fix that. So isn't there an SDK path or something that I can specify in IntelliJ, and then it automatically downloads the things? Not 100% sure, but I remember that there should be something like that available. Or do I need the Android plugin enabled or something like that? I don't know. Android, otherwise we need to Google that. That's not it. That's also not it. Android SDK. That's also not it. It's maybe ADK. No. SDK location not found. Let's define location with Android or by setting the SDK directory path in your project's local properties. There is a local properties? No. From what I know, you can set that directly in IntelliJ. So IntelliJ download Android SDK, something like that. How to install. Ah, so it's under project structure nowadays. Okay, then let's try that out. Is it a JDK? No, it's not a JDK. Shouldn't it be? Blah, blah, blah. Here, system settings, Android SDK. I remember that there was an entry under settings, but I did not see that. I don't have here Android available. That's weird. Why don't I have that? Supports the development of Android application with IntelliJ IDE and Android Studio. Maybe that's not automatically bundled anymore in the IDE. Let's try. Let's download it separately. It has a 2-star rating, so it seems like people are very pissed at that plugin. Is it the official one? I don't know. Let's see. We will try that out. And otherwise, as mentioned, I don't want to bother a lot with Android stuff. I know it's always a complete exercise, which takes a lot of time to get it running. With aligning the different versions of the Gradle plugin and Android plugin and blah, blah, blah. Which is quite annoying if you don't do that a lot and if you're not very familiar with it. So in the end, we simply might delete it and maybe just run the GDX liftoff setup over everything again. And then just, I think that the most important part is simply the dependencies that we need for the project. And I think that's it. Everything else, from what I remember, we did not do anything super special in this project. It was a streaming project, by the way. So I think it's not a big deal. Do I have now Android SDK? No. I don't know where it is. Now I have some entries available at least. But everything looks different. Let's see, is it building now something or not? And otherwise, as mentioned, we might want to simply get new up-to-date Gradle files and start with the latest version of GDX liftoff as well. And then just copy over the entire assets folder and stuff like that. Might be easier than trying to modify the 2-year-old project, which, yeah, I remember that together with Dr. Schlaubi, we tried to get all the Gradle files up and to get them running with the Kotlin DSL, which was not well documented back then. nowadays it's better. And from what I know, it's the official language now by Gradle as well. Not Groovy anymore. Also the documentation nowadays, you can find always the Groovy and the Kotlin documentation for everything. But 2 years ago, that was not available. So I'm not even sure how good the Gradle files here are. We might simply throw them away and start from scratch. Okay, but let me see. So I think something happened now, and we should be maybe able to run the main application. Let's see. No, there's still some problem with SDK stuff, which I would need to set. So let's forget about that and start from scratch, I would say. So what we need to do is we need to start the jar. And it's not running. Why? Why is nothing working at all? Ugh. Why can I also not open a console in a specific folder? Why is everything different? I don't get it. Okay. One thing is solved. Hello, Velvoric. Then how does that new setup now work? Do I click? Okay, so here I have desktop core, HTML, language is Kotlin. Okay, extensions. From what I know, we used Ashley back then, Box2D Lite, AI. I don't know. Did we use AI? Let me see. GDX AI, yes, we used it. Then Box2D. Controller. No. Oh, and I already see a problem. I think I saw somewhere here free type font. I think that's not working in the browser out of the box from what I know. But let's see. The sound drops. Is my problem or the stream? What do you mean with sound drop? When I speak or something else? Yeah, I will tell the little story in a moment. Project name. I don't remember. Quilly Adventure. Then the package was, I don't know, this one. That's not correct. Copy path reference maybe. Here. Okay, let's see. Yep. And the main class, there we need a different one. There it was called main. And here we just call it XYZ because we want to remove that. Okay, so almost there, I guess. So Java version 11, app version blah, blah, blah. We don't need a README. We have that already. Project path. So there we now just choose the existing folder. Do we need anything from here? I think we will see that in a moment. And then we just generate, I would guess. Things are happening. Okay, let's exit. And things actually really happened. So what I want to do now, so we remove the Android folder because it's annoying. Then asset folder, we leave it here. Config, that was this detect stuff. We will remove that because that one was also annoying. That is like a static code analysis tool which check the formatting, and I don't know, that methods don't have too much arguments and stuff like that. It was basically annoying, like SonarQube, and we don't want that. Then what else can I remove, or should I remove? I am not 100% sure. So for sure, we will remove the Kotlin Gradle files. Then desktop is no longer called desktop. Yeah, so there we also need to adjust a couple of things. But other than that, I think that should be it. I had a video speed of 1.25. That's why it behaved like that. You can, that's interesting. You can increase the speed of the live stream. My goal would actually be just to have a look a little bit of if it's still running, where I'm currently struggling to get it running, but I hope we can fix that in a moment. And then I would like to get it running in the browser as well, like most of my games that you have here a link that you can click it and run it. There I'm not 100% sure how easy that will be. And ideally, if there's still some time left, I think last year most of the GitHub actions broke because they modified something a little bit with the patches, and I think the API of the GitHub workflows, and those we will, or that single workflow, which is simply compiling, I think, the game, if I remember correctly, and then publishing it to the GitHub pages that we have it running in the browser with the latest version. That one would also be a goal. And of course, also bring it up to date with the latest versions of everything, because that was written 2 years ago. A couple of old things in there. And yeah, right now I just want to get it running. So let's see. I will simply delete the original Gradle files. So all of that gets removed. Then here we have some new versions. There I would be interested if back then did we specify the version somewhere? I could imagine that we did that. Because I saw here that we reference project property GDX, but I don't know where we specified that. We will see. So also this one here we can remove. We have the settings Gradle. We have now the build Gradle. We have the newest version. Actually, we can update that to 8.10.2 in a moment. But first of all, let's try to get it running. So that one here is new. We need something else. So here it's why is the launcher in the Java package? Why? Because I did not, wait. We need to run the setup again because we can make that even our life a little bit easier. So again, all these things, seems like it remembers the selection that we did back then, or in the last time when we run the setup file, which is actually great. What I want to do, I want to choose a template. That's here. And here I want to choose Kotlin with LibGDX. Okay, and let's generate it again. Okay. That should now created us launcher files for Kotlin, which is great. The main class is actually a different one. Set window size limits. What kind of magic did I do back then? Okay. Cannot remember what that is doing, but let's take it over. So we have here the configuration title is this one. Then we had a virtual. I never saw that before. Set window. I think we don't have auto completion yet because it's not properly compiling yet. So let's come back to that maybe later. But for sure we need, instead of XYZ, we have our main class here. And we will do it then like that. Is auto formatting working? Yes. Okay, so that one is okay, that one is okay. And that line here, we will just move it down there and comment it out for a moment. Okay, so we have here the build Gradle file. Okay. That looks now better. I think the desktop stuff we can now delete. That's no longer necessary. That was in the past. Then TVM, I will update that later on. I don't really care at the moment. Then we have a bunch of Gradle properties where we can also update then the Kotlin version. Okay, then the README got updated. Maybe I forgot to. Yeah, so that one we can immediately roll back. I forgot to disable that it creates a README file. Then settings includes this one, and this one. Okay, and in the core folder, there I simply want to compare now those two files. Because on the right side, we have now. Okay, let's do that differently because too much highlighting. We will have that one. And here I saw something at work that I can customize here the toolbar. And was it like this? And add the split right action actually to the toolbar. Obviously, I added it somewhere wrong. No, it should be here. Okay. I don't know. At work, I got the icon then for split right here. I don't know why it's not working here. Anyway, so we have this one and this one on the left side. And now let's compare that. So let's go through everything and delete it on the left side so that we know that we have covered it. So we have Ashley, we have that. Then we have box to delight, we have GDX AI, we have GDX box to D, free type, GDX normal stuff. This UI, I don't know why I have that one. I think that's not necessary. Let's remove it. Then we had the KTX actors. Okay, KTX actors. I used that. Okay, that's over here. Then KTX AI. I think that did not exist back then, so we can remove it for now. KDX app, then Artemis we also don't use. Then Ashley, yes. Then assets async, yes. That was actually developed throughout this project, so that I gave valuable input. Assets alone seems like we did not use that back then. Async, we also did not use it. Then KDX box2D, collections, free type async, we also don't need that. Then free type is covered, graphics is covered, internationalization, then we have inject, we have JSON, we don't need that. Log, we have that. Math, we have it. Preferences was used. Reflection, we don't need that. Scene 2D was used. Styling was used. Tiled was used. This style and this, we can remove it again. Artemis, we don't need that. Then the Kotlin standard library. Kotlin X coroutines. And we had some test implementation stuff. Okay, let's also take that over. But the syntax here is, I think, without the brackets. Just like that for now. And that's it. So those are the dependencies, which are the important stuff. So we can remove this file here. And now let's try to resync the project. And of course it fails. Could not resolve all artifacts for configuration, blah, blah, blah. Why? IO GitHub Construo. Why is that? A good question. Could not resolve all artifacts for configuration class path. I don't get it. Let's clean everything here as well. Maybe we should remove, or maybe we should re-import the project or something like that. I don't know, maybe it's confused because there's too much Gradle changes going on. Obviously it wants to be super annoying. I don't get it. Could not resolve. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. What could that be? So we have a weird project folder name. So that could be one reason. So let's remove. Can I somehow remove the entire project? I want to reload it from scratch. That should be this one. Okay. That did not solve anything. Okay. Different tests. Let's use a different folder, which we just call like that. Okay. We choose again the KTX stuff. And generate it again. And let's try to open that project. I did not expect it to be that troublesome to get a project running. Crazy that it's not working at all. Really, really impressive. Okay, obviously there it's working. I don't understand why it's not working in the other folder. That's interesting. So what we can do, we can open that one again and try to compare it one more time. So we have here's the broken project. Okay. So here's the working one. We have assets. We have a core project. Core project just has the build Gradle file. Then we have Gradle where we just have the wrapper inside. Okay. Then we have the LWJGL. That's a new folder. TVM is new. Git attributes, git ignore, build Gradle file. Gradle properties, the batch files, license readme, and the settings file. I don't see the difference, to be honest. Really no idea. Hello, Christoph. I really have no idea. Let's see if we can just copy and paste everything from here to there. So all of that, we want to have it. Oh, okay, I think that is better if we do that in Windows Explorer, because I think sometimes IntelliJ tries to be super smart and it's not what I want. I now want stupid copy and pasting functionality. So here I have the real project, here I have the other one. So in core. Okay, then we remove that thing here and we get the stuff from here. Okay. That would be the most important thing, actually. That build. Let's make here a backup for whatever reason and copy that over as well. Then we need, of course, the different assets. Let's get rid of that. Okay, then we have here the correct README file. We have the license file. Anything else? I don't think so. Graphics raw is also important. And that's hopefully it. So let's see again. Is there a difference between those two files? Okay, the backup file has again this Viz UI stuff. I don't know why everything is added here, actually. Not 100% sure, but maybe something that I will mention in the Discord to the guy who is making the setup. Let's see, now it should at least... Okay, build in some way. And the last thing that I now need would be the correct launcher, which I just closed. Is it this one here? Zack. Okay. Then the main class here. And what is the set window size limits? Okay, that function is available. So I guess we use it because we used it back then. And now let's see. Okay, now we change something actually because we automatically increase the Kotlin version and the LibGDX and LibGDX versions. So maybe a couple of things don't compile. Oh, but that one looks good. Okay, that one looks really good. Okay, working. Is it too loud? I reduce it to 50% maybe. It's better for you guys. And let's try. Yeah, I remember there was some dialogue stuff. But the nice music from the guy from the stream back then. I think he was called Joseph, if I remember correctly. He helped out with some music stuff. Shader, by the way, that was the sepia shader or whatever it's called. Okay, there was space for jumping, control for attacking. Okay. Okay, yeah, there was a little bit of a delay between the attacks. Great stuff. Okay, those were the controls for the phone. You hear no sound. Okay, then it's maybe too silent, but I don't know if I can get back to the main menu. I could increase the sound here in OBS Studio. Maybe now you can barely hear it. Wow, the jumping is really weird. That's what the fuck? What is this controlling? Okay, that is really garbage, let's be honest. Oh, there's an enemy I did not see. You can run off the cliff, but if you press the jump button before, then you simply jump mid-air. Can you also... No, when you fall, you cannot jump. Oh, okay, so the jumping mechanic is really bad. Okay. Nice. I remember that you need to kill all the monsters to get the level up, if I remember correctly, to learn then a fireball spell or firebolt. The music is nice though, I like it. Okay, I got damaged somehow. Okay. No! I fell down. How can you kill that slime? Okay. Where did it go? Okay. Okay. So I click here, then I see the stats. Okay, level 2. For the next level up, I need 190. Blah, blah. And I need level 3 for the fireball. But I think you need to kill all enemies to get to level 3, if I remember correctly. So it's really a fun game. So here a little bit of a story, because that was the first game that my youngest nephew actually liked. So all the games that I made as a hobby, I usually let my nephews play them. The older one is now 16 years, the younger one is now 13. But back then, okay, it was actually then most likely just 10 years when he played it for the first time. And yeah, that was the first game that he really enjoyed. He played it on my phone. And I told him that I'm the developer of that game, so he knew that. But he thought that actually over there, so this little cliff here, that there is something where you can continue and move on. But actually, it's impossible to get over there. So I tested that with all the different mechanics which are available in the game. And simply it's not possible to get over that cliff. And even if you would get there, I can tell you, because I made the maps and everything, there is nothing. So that you cannot move to the right side there. The idea from my side back then was that in a moment we get to the first and only boss fight in this game with a little cutscene. And the idea was that when you kill the boss, then actually over there will be some light. So some light effect that is coming into the cave, and then you can move on over there and continue the journey to rescue your girlfriend. That's the story of the game. Let me see if we can first of all get level 3, and also if we can even kill the first boss. If I remember correctly, it's not that easy to kill him. And that little dwarf now should give us level 3. Yeah, perfectly. That was intentional. So you need to kill all the enemies to get the level 3 for the spell for the first boss fight. I also remember that implementing that, so the user interface and to get an ability available for the character was very, very annoying because I did not really have the greatest structure. It was really, I would say, the first big game for me personally that I developed and which I finished. And of course I fell in a lot of pitfalls that you usually fall when you develop your first game. And also for me that was of course the case. So not everything was structured perfectly. Most of the things were very tightly coupled together. So it was not so easy to actually get this ability and the user interface into the game. But I made it somehow work. I cannot remember. Let me save here. How can I use the fireball? Okay, when I double click it, then I get it available over there. And was it then shift to cast? Yeah, okay, shift starts the cast animation, so shift it is. And now let's get into the first boss fight. I really like the music. I should maybe reuse some of these sounds for the current game I'm working on. Oh, by the way, do you still not hear any sound? Because in OBS Studio I see that it's actually a little bit moving up with the bars or whatever that's called. Okay, let's blah blah blah. Let's fight him. There, I remember he also spawns then this little skeleton. Okay, Superman jump. Somehow he hit me. How was that possible? Oh, fuck, no mana. Okay. Okay, skeleton is down. I think we need to bait his attack. Then he has a little bit of a cooldown. Boah. How much HP does he have? I cannot remember. Nice. And then the grunt when he dies. Ooh. Okay, now we get some information, and if I remember correctly, now there is maybe a bug. I cannot move. Okay, now I can move. Okay, that was a little bit unfortunate. Let me show you the final stuff here. So when you defeat the boss, then a portal appears here. When you go inside, it simply brings you to the top of the cave. And as mentioned, the idea now would have been that you are back here at that location, you can save, and the game would continue here at the right side. Let me just try it one more time because the jumping is so incredibly weird. We can jump mid-air. Oh, okay, I think it's actually not possible. I also remember I wanted to create then 2 rocks, I think, one here and one here, that you can get over there. And there would be this light, which is then falling into the cave. Okay, not possible. But the jumping really, what the fuck, how weird is it? How was I happy back then with that control? It's really, really weird. In Quilly Jumper that we developed, I think this year in the stream, it's like 1 billion times better. The moving, so moving left and right, that feels quite nice. Everything is good. Also falling down, I think is okay. But the jumping, what the hell? It's the absolute garbage. Really, really bad. Okay, but good. So that would be it. So that's the game. There is, by the way, a little Easter egg behind the tree. Valvorik in the stream can tell you about it. He made the graphic for that. He knows what's up with that little guy moving left and right. Okay, so, but great stuff. So that one was now working. Let me sit down. Now we want to get this bad boy into the browser. Wait, one more thing that I now just remembered. Not that folder, the other one. I think I made a launcher icon as well for that game. So there should be... I removed it now. Would need to restore it with the Git history. I think there was an icon for the launcher, but that's a minor detail. Let's not care about too much about that one. Since everything is working, I don't want to update the versions too much at the moment, but what I do want to update is the Gradle version, because 8.10.1 was a little bit buggy for me, and 8.10.2 was working way better. So we updated. And I don't know why, but I always need to execute this update statement twice, because if I don't do that, then it's just updating the version in the Gradle wrapper properties file. So here it updates it to whatever version I updated with the command. But the batch files, I don't know if they ever changed. So the Gradle W and Gradle W batch file, I never looked at it. But I see there are some changes when I execute the statement twice. So in my opinion, updating the Gradle version, you need to execute this command on the website 2 times. I made that mega skin for that guy. Yes, I remember. Okay, then TVM. What do we need for TVM? I think first of all, since we use Ashley, I'm pretty sure we need to register some reflection classes, because otherwise it does not work. But I cannot remember if we need to register the components or if we need to register the engine. I am not 100% sure. Do I have a... Let's just run it and see what happens. Do I have a TVM game example where I use Ashley? Maybe I have one. Maybe the Dark Matter game, but not 100% sure. Does that have a link? No, that's not a TVM game. Quilly Crawler, maybe that one. Also no. I thought I had a game with Ashley. Okay, this one is just showing... okay, that's wrong. So it's working, but it's it's wrongly working. It starts this XYZ main class. I need to delete that one. Okay, so where is that specified? Here. So here I would need the same thing that I had in the launcher, most likely. Yeah, let's do it like that. Okay, and let's run it again. And yeah, other than that, I think it should hopefully not be that difficult. I could imagine that TrueType font. I remember that I had some problems with the TrueType font, that maybe that one is not working. Then we would need to change it to bitmap font. Yeah, but let's see. Why is it? The texture is a non-power of 2 texture. Is that a warning or an error? In my opinion, that is still wrong. It still launched the old application. So let's clean it one more time. And let's start from scratch. The music is, by the way, really, really great. I like it. Let's simply have it one more time in the background. Was it the music? Boss MP3. I would need to open that. Okay, that might be too loud now. Let me know if it's too loud. Joseph. I think his name was Joseph, if I remember correctly. Awesome guy. Okay, now I think something most likely is not working. I mean, there's a loading bar, but it's super slow. So I could imagine that something is now broken. And that could be the reflection stuff, of course. The question is I think, does everything need to be ready at the beginning? I cannot really remember that. So what I mean with that, when we load the main class, what the hell, how does the main class look like? Where's the, here, okay. Weird formatting and stylings that I used back then. Init box2d. The next call avoids some issues with older devices where the box2d libraries were not loaded correctly. Okay, but box2d is working. I know that for sure. Then async loading of the different resources. That might be an issue. Let me see. Did we use TrueType fonts? No, we used FNT files. Okay, so we should not have the problem with the TrueType font that I mentioned. That should be okay. I don't know how you debug then the TVM launched LibGDX application. So I think I will just add some log messages there and we should see them then in the browser in the end. This is also ugly as hell. So inject, 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 inject. Looks very weird. But we don't even get to the loading screen. So we actually have a problem before somewhere. Right? Yeah, for sure. We for sure have a problem before. Is it with the buffer stuff as well? I don't know. I think we need to really add some log information. Do I have a logger here? No. Is print line printed to the browser? I could imagine that should be the standard out. Test 1, 2, 3. Let's see if that is working. And also to avoid finding out if it's an issue, we will make here a logger instance for the main class. Okay, and again over there log, and that would be info for now, test 4, 5, 6. Okay, and then let's see. Let's see where we fail. So this is after box2d init. Okay, then we initiate the coroutine stuff. We set the loader. I think that also should not be an issue. We load the UI and the bundle. Which is not finished at that moment after loading UI. So at this point, it's not finished with the loading. It's just starting the background coroutine stuff. Then here we create a stage. That looks good. What is create skin? Here we wait for the UI atlas. So here create skin. Okay. And hello, Copterfish. So this one I think should also not be an issue. The global context filter, I guess, is also not a problem. And here would be bundle await. Should hopefully also not be an issue. But let's see. So let's clean. And let's run it again. The secret boss sabotaged it. Maybe. By the way, I could show you for which game I want to have you as a beta tester, because if that one here is too difficult, it was just I just wanted to have a look if it's something easy to get the game up and running. And if it was easy, then I wanted to try to get it running in the browser. But if it's very difficult for me to understand what is going wrong, then I will simply skip that, because I don't know what that this main is not defined at onload. What does that even mean? maybe the class is not allowed to be called main. Maybe main is a not supported name for TVM. So we could rename it to, let's see, let's rename it to Quilly Adventure. Okay. So in here it should now be called I don't see it here. Okay, I had renamed that one. Let's try it one more time if that makes it any better. And if not, then I give up for today. Was nice at least to play the game one more time, to see that it would work somehow. But today I'm a little bit tired and I don't want to go through all these different errors and issues that we are facing. I don't have the brain power and motivation to look at all of that. Okay, one last time. Did anything change at all? No, it's still main is not defined. And I don't get any log information at all, right? No. So I have no idea what is wrong. I have one idea. Wait, I changed something. Let me have a look at what I did here. Was it here? Yeah, wait. First of all, what kind of TVM version? Zero 10.1 and 103. Let's stop that one more time. So we have TVM version 0.10.2. So that's actually more recent. And GDX TVM version 103. Okay, so the versions are okay. Then the launcher is nothing special, and the TVM builder, reflection classes. Okay. So first of all, did I use a skin? Does not look like it. I think I created the skin manually. Yes, I created it manually. Okay, so that's for sure not an issue. And no, everything else is the same. Okay. Superman jump. Yeah, it really starts super slowly and then suddenly is jumping in the air like a rocket. Also mid-air, it's very, very weird. Okay, but I give up because I don't know how to debug that. No idea what that means. Main is not defined at onload. Blah, blah, blah. No idea. Is that a problem with the async loading of the assets, which is maybe not allowed? I don't know. Or not supported in TVM? No idea. So can you show your main class? Yes, I can, but I think that's not the issue, but not 100% sure. So the main class is this one. I would assume that all of that here is okay. Yeah, what is a little bit weird that I don't even see these messages here. So I think it does not even get to that part over here. Can you debug in the TVM application? Is that possible? The public static void main is the launcher itself. So that would be the TVM launcher. There is something created, which is called this T application. And that one then creates the game class and runs everything. And this is just the browser issue. So on the desktop version itself, that one is working. And before I close this project, I will do one final little speed run. Did I get now some additional messages? No. Main is not loaded. I don't know what that means. Okay, but then you would need JVM name. Ah, that is one good advice. Okay, I thought that somewhere in here, main class name. Okay, this one here. Did I change that one? Let me check. GitHub Quillraven, Quillis Adventure, TVM Builder. And that one has the main stuff. Okay, and let me have a look one more at the project where I know it's working. So blah, 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 TVM Builder. TVM Builder is keep class at JVM static. At JVM static. No, all of that is here. Yeah, so that one is here. So I think the setup itself created everything correctly. But something is simply wrong. And I don't know what. Main class. Full optimization. Ah, wait, set obfuscated. I don't have that. Let's remove that line. Is that the culprit of all the bad things which are happening to humanity? Let's see. And if that's not working, then we do one final speed run of the game. And then I show you the new project and talk a little bit about that. Velvoric will be the first one who will be the alpha tester or the beta tester. He has the honor then to stream it. Failed to bind. Okay, did I not shut it down properly? Is the port now locked? If that's the case, we go to a different port. And after Velvoric has approved the game, I will sell it on Steam, where you people can then try it out and buy it for €1. Okay, description run the local chatty server at localhost 8080. Where's the port specified? How can I change it? Why is everything against me today? Okay, how can I kill Windows kill process on port 8080, whatever. Okay, and now let's go. Console hacking, we all loved it. Netstat minus annos 1603 bind string 8080, and there we have it. In the first part of this command we invoked netstat blah blah blah. I see something. The final number of both lines is the process ID. Task kill zack 66552 force it. Great stuff. Okay. And again. I'm so thrilled. I can imagine. I'm thrilled as well. And in about 5 to 10 minutes, you will see it. For the first time. Oh, I'm so nervous. It will be so great. I have tears in my eyes. Okay, let's go. Did that change anything? No, still the main is not defined. Then screw it. We give up. But we will do for the memories a final speed run. How long does it take to beat Quilly Adventure? Let me start a timer. And speedrun mode on. I hope you can see the segments on the left and the controller inputs and everything, like the professional setup that we are having. And let's go. Wait, that's not valid. We will of course increase the sound to maximum, that you hear everything. And 3, 2, 1. Fuck, that's also not correct. Wait, 3, 2, 1. Can you skip the cutscene? No, seems like you cannot do anything in the cutscene, just watch. And let's go. Ja, bla bla. Ja. Tutorial stuff. Fuck it. That is precious time that we are losing. And of course we will aim for a 100% run as well. So we will... Oh, is that loud? We will get everything that is possible in this game. Oh, here some tight jumps. It doesn't really matter if you take damage. There are so many save points that it's almost impossible to die. Ah, level 2, great stuff. Little Superman jump on it. And... Okay, and... Oh, fuck, you cannot go here on the right side. Dun. Navigate through the cave. That was not ideal. I could combine them together to kill them even faster. Like so. And last one. And then the boss. Okay, level 3. Then we need the fireball. I think that was double click. Okay, and let's go. Boss fight. Blah, 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 blah. Skeleton appears. Blah, blah. Fuck it. Oh god, and we don't have mana anymore, so bait it and... And a little bit back and bait it. Attack, come on. Nice. And we did it. And 2 minutes 14 seconds. World record. 100% run. The text is really bad. We did it. A stroll with my family. Oh God. Okay, so then let me bring you to different thoughts. Secret project. You guys in the stream are the first people to see it. Next game for awesome game done quick. Yeah, for sure. Okay, little story. I started programming when I was, I cannot remember, 16 or 17. I started with C++. I had a little book where you learn C++ with game developing. So there was a little console text-based stuff. I bought then different books as well to also learn how to develop an RPG. Also 2D games with, I forgot the name of all these libraries that I used back then. Anyway, back then I made a game. How can I find it on YouTube? I think like this, which I called Mesamoon, which is, if people know it, it's at least I know it from Chrono Trigger, a great game from the Super Nintendo era. And I think those were two little dudes, which then combined into a sword, if I remember correctly, for Frog, for the character Frog. And that was the name of the game. And back then, I developed it with C++ in the console. So as you see it, 13 years ago, long time ago. We will watch the video together. Ah, there, wait. You could see the library that I used back then. SFML, that was, I don't know, simple something, media something? I cannot remember. Does that still exist? SFML. Simple and fast multimedia library. Aha. Okay, seems like that one is still existing in version 2.6. Which one did I have? I think for me it was version 1.6. Okay. So great game. You will see it in a moment. If anyone can hear the music and if anyone knows where the music is from, you get a plus in your school book. Okay, to explain it, the game, maybe let me make it big. The game was pretty simple. So it's just a Windows console. There were no graphics at all. You can barely see it because the quality is pretty garbage, but I think it was simply, or I did not know how to record it in a better quality back then. So there's this H, which stands for the hero, which is red. You can move around. And there are some other characters from time to time, like E, I think, is the elder. S was the shop. I don't know. B was, I think, a flower girl. And yeah, so there were some text-based things already. There was some stats. Here was an inventory. You could grab some items. And there was also a combat system. So let me skip through that here a little bit. You see some stats here. We equipped a weapon. I think that is what I was showcasing here. Then there was a shop where you could buy a couple of things. Here you see like the chills or the gold that you had. I called it claws back then. Then how much you need to get a small healing potion, greater healing potion, antidote, stuff like that. Here was a smith, which had some weapons, some armory and stuff. So there was this entire shopping thing, inventory thing was already working. Then there was a quest system. So this little lady here, so the flower girl, is giving you a quest that you can find a flower deep in the forest. And the story, to keep it brief, it's of course the most epic story that you will ever hear. There is a little village. That is where the hero is coming from. And there is this holy sword, this Masamune sword in the forest, which is protecting the village for, I don't know, hundreds of years. Because before the swords, there were demons and bad things were happening and monsters were appearing and the world was not safe at all. And yeah, the elder noticed that now some monsters appeared in the forest and something seems to be wrong with the protection spell or protective aura of the Masamune sword. So the only guy in the village is you, the hero that you are playing then in this game. And he should have a look and maybe recast the spell on the Masamune sword that it protects again the village and the surroundings from monsters and demons and stuff. And the hero is the only person in town because he can fight like a warrior and he can use magic. And that is the only person because he is the son of a magician woman or wife and a warrior father. Both of them most likely are dead already. I'm not sure about the story here. And that's why he has both of these traits and he can cast magic. So he can recast the magic spell for the Masamune sword and he can fight to survive in the forest. And yeah, so there was then already some maps that I developed, a little bit of a combat system. So E stands here for enemy. Here I showcase something that we fight against 3 butterflies. They have a life of 10. We just killed one. That's why he disappeared. And there's not a lot that you can do. So you can basically attack. I don't know if there was a spell. You could use items like the smaller healing potion, which is restoring some life. It's a round-based combat system. And yeah, so in the end, there was not a lot left. There was a huge area here, which is mostly empty. Another huge area here, which is also empty because I never finished that. And there is a little side area where a quest item spawned from this flower girl that I showed before. So this little chi is a quest item that you could pick up. And when you go back then to the village, I think that is the rest of the video. I'm not 100% sure. I think that's it, yes. There you get then some quest items from the flower girl. Was it a sword? I cannot remember. Anyway, that was a game that I developed 13 years ago and it's still stuck in my head. And I thought that now I feel very confident that I can almost achieve everything in a game that I could dream of. Of course, my graphical power is limited because I'm not an artist. I can just work with open source assets which are free to use. Also same for music and sound effects. That's the same. But other than that, programmatically in a 2D game environment, I feel very confident that I can do almost everything that I need. And it's fun for me to do that. So that's why I started to make now that little game and the idea that I have in my mind and do that now properly with real graphics, a real 2D environment. And with that, I welcome you to Masamune 13 years later, done with LibGDX. And this game is, by the way, that one is working in the browser as well. So I already made here a workflow. Whenever I make a commit into this project, then it automatically compiles everything, updates everything, and releases the new version in the browser as well. If anyone is interested, there is the link to it. And there you find also the gaming link. And what is the problem? Why is everything so problematic today? Why is it not working? I did not do anything. The only idea that I would have is that there is some Gradle issue. What kind of Gradle version do I have here? 8.10. Let's upgrade that. That's really interesting that things simply don't work anymore, even though I did not touch anything. That's really interesting. Okay. Are we good now? Can I please start the game? Okay, great. So don't expect a lot. Just the basic things. So currently there is no sound stuff. I could also show you that for a moment. So the to-do list, so done. You see, I already did quite a lot of things for this game. And there are, of course, still some things outstanding. So the next thing that I wanted to work on is that I add some music and sound support. Then some special solution for rendering the rendering order of the tiled map and the game entity. So what I mean with that, for example, this little tree here would be something a part of the tiled map. And now, of course, the player should be rendered in front of the tree. And when I'm in the background, like here, then the tree should be rendered in front of it. And the way I currently solve that is that like the bottom of the tree is in the background layer and the top of the tree is in the foreground layer. That works quite well for this tree, but there are other objects in the game, like for example, this one here, this card here. And there, I think it's not so easily possible because the character would overlap here the top part, which should be then in front of the player, and the bottom part should be in the back. And that's why I want to have here a more flexible solution that somehow it automatically has the same rendering order like doing it with entities. So from top to bottom and from left to right, if I remember correctly. So for that, I also need a solution. Then I need some trading user interface. I don't have that. Inventory, I don't have it yet. The combat system, quest system, and a lot of other things. So there, I always add a couple of things that come to my head. So it's by far not finished. But what we have, so first of all, I have a little bit different of a camera approach. So normally in all the tutorials that I made, the camera is always fixed at the player. So when we move to the left, the camera is automatically moving to the left because the player is always the center of the camera. But here I optimized that a little bit. So whenever the camera is still, so when it reached its final destination and the player is in the center, then there's a little bit of a, let's call it dead zone before the camera is moving. So if we move inside a small area, then the camera is not moving at all, which in my opinion as a player is a little bit nicer because the camera does not jiggle around all the time. And only when you leave that zone, then the camera is moving or tries to center the player again. And that is also not happening immediately, as you see. So there's a little bit of a smoothing factor. So it's interpolating to the player position and just gets there over time. And if it would be super, super fast, like, I don't know, if we have run boots and can run super fast, then the player would get actually to the edge of the camera because we are moving faster than the camera can keep up. But you cannot move outside the camera. So it keeps up with the player then at some point. And yeah, there I have introduced a little bit of a more, I would say, cooler camera mechanism than the cheap one that I developed during the tutorial, which is simply focusing the player entity in the center every frame. That one here now feels, in my opinion, a little bit better. Then we have some outline shader. So when the player is close to something that he can interact with, like here, this NPC, then the NPC has a white outline so that we know that we can interact with that. Same with the flower girl and all the other entities here in the village at the moment. And there I also have some dialogue interface already. I can show that, which has this old effect that I liked from old games, so that the text is appearing letter by letter and it's not immediately there. So that effect I used here. Let me check a library which was available. So I implemented that once a long time ago, but I saw that there is a library available that you can use. It's called Typing Label. That is the one that I'm using. And there you can have actually a lot of effects as well, so that the text could actually also float in like a wind, for example. It can jump up and down. It can shake a little bit if you want to have a scary effect. You can color it. So there are a lot of effects available with this typing label. And I use that here for the dialogue text. Also, when you press the interaction button, then the text simply goes to the end immediately and you don't need to wait. So because there are always players which don't want to wait for the text to appear, so they can skip that through in a faster manner if they want to. I'm looking forward to the update where the boots get 4% bigger. No, but there will be, I have an idea that actually you could get some boots somewhere which really let you run faster on the map. Maybe with a separate button that you can sprint or something. But I wanted to introduce something like that. Then there is a trigger system actually. So this dialogue stuff that we just saw, there I implemented some trigger mechanism, and there I can show you the trigger. It's not the trigger DSL. I think it's I call it trigger configurator. Exactly. And there, for example, for the Elder, so that was the NPC with which we just interacted, there, the trigger, for example, currently looks like this. So there's also a quest system available. So we get the quest log from the triggering entity, which would be the player, and get the main quest if it's there or null if it's not there. And then depending if you already got the main quest, so we have that now because we talked to the Elder for the first time. So if we have it, then he's just showing us some dialogue. So we create a trigger. That's it. Trigger has a name. It needs to run in the context of the Flex world that we have access to the different entity components and stuff like that. And we also pass in the triggering entity, which is triggering the trigger. A lot of trigger in this word. And this trigger here is just creating a dialogue. So a trigger has actions, and action dialogue, for example, is to create a dialogue and show it to the user. And the dialogue is simply created via an ID like this Elder 10. And if we would have a look at the dialogue configurator, which is very similar to the trigger configurator, there we have, for example, the Elder dialogue. A dialogue always has a page. Let me show that to you once more in the game. So that would be a dialogue page. A page has an optional image. It has an image caption. Both of this is optional. It's not mandatory. And then it has some text which is showing and some options that the player could select. Like here, for example, we can change between OK and abort, for example. It's asking here, it's in German, unfortunately, in the desktop version. In the browser, it's in English, for me at least. Here it's asking if you want to help her and accept the quest or not. And we could say here, no, we don't want to help that or help her. And yeah, this is how you create the dialogue. So as mentioned, you always have a page. A page has an optional image, an image caption. It has some text in it. That's this one here. And a page that has some options. Like here it's always just one option, but for the flower girl that we just saw, so here we could add, for example, 2 options. And an option is then either navigating to the next page, like with the next action, or it's, for example, stopping the dialogue with the exit action and things like that. And yeah, so coming back to the trigger, which is very similar there for the elder. Now, since we did not have the main quest initially, there we get a dialogue from the elder. And when that one is finished, we get an item, this elder sword, which we now have in our inventory. And we also get the quest, which is this main quest, added to our quest log. And now, since we have the main quest, the elder now simply just gives us some dialogue and does not give us the quest again and the item again. So now it's just some simple dialogue. And I hope for female skeletons. Yeah, I actually will introduce them. I really thought about making a distinction between male and female, and maybe some weapons deal extra damage to male or female characters. That would be a feature that I have in mind. Yeah, unfortunately, with the graphics, I cannot do everything. I'm not an artist. Then this game has a map transition effect. Let me show you something. So currently I have 2 maps. I have this village map that we just saw, and there is another map, this path to the forest, which we saw before in the YouTube video, which is this initial map where you simply go from the village up to the forest up there. And those are 2 separate maps in tiled, so they are not they are not interacting or they are not linked together. But in the game, actually, so when we leave the village now, you see that it looks like they belong together. Okay. Actually, the window is too big, so we see the black border to the right. Let's make it smaller, then it looks a little bit better. So you see here, this is a special map transition effect that I developed. So the next map is actually loaded immediately and already rendered properly. So it looks like it's one big map, when in reality it's actually not linked together. It's just 2 separate maps, but from a player point of view, it just looks like one big world. I liked it more than in some other games. You always have this fade out effect and some loading screen, and then you enter the new map, which most likely makes sense for bigger games, so 3D games where you really need to load a bunch of things and which could maybe take a couple of seconds to load everything. But this tiny little 2D adventure game or RPG, the loading times are below a second. I think it's in a millisecond area. So there I don't need a special fade out, fade in and loading screen. I can just immediately load everything and that's it. Yeah, and almost done with the features that I have developed so far. There is one more thing up here. So that would be the first enemies. There, my idea would be, so first of all, the outline. Let's make it big again. The outline, as you can see, is here with a red outline, not the white outline with an NPC. Red would indicate that something is bad or dangerous. And yeah, my idea would actually be that it's not automatically triggering the combat when the player gets close. My idea would be that you really need to interact again with this entity or with an enemy to start the battle, so that really the player can make the decision when he wants to fight something and when he doesn't want to fight something. I think that's almost it. I have a menu that you can open with the control button where you can also close the game. Save is not working, quest is also not working, inventory is also not developed yet, but status is developed, and there you have an overview of the hero. the level, the experience for the next level, HP, mana points, the gold, and the different attributes that you have and the percentages. And yeah, that's it currently. So that's the game I'm working on. I think before I really have a final polished version, which I want to share with other people, it will take me quite some time. So I guess maybe summer next year I would be finished, because normally I just work once, at most twice a week on this little game, and also only in the evening usually. So there's not a lot of time that I then spend on it. But yeah, I always get some minor features going. So I'm quite happy with the progress that I've made so far. Also, what I did here, I invest some time into testing actually quite a lot. Because I don't like what I do in tutorial games or in some other quick and dirt implementations, where I usually have then the problem when I add bigger features and something breaks, but I don't notice it that it breaks. I just notice it later on. And now that I have this GitHub workflow, which automatically runs all the tests, I can be very confident that whenever I add something new to the game, that I don't break something old. And for example, also for the user interface, it's quite handy that I can just run a specific test, like for example here for the user interface dialog, and there I can try out the different things. So you see that the top left with the buttons 1 to 4, I can switch between the different dialog possibilities that I have developed. So as mentioned, one option would be an image, a caption, text, and a different option. Another version would be to just have one option. Another version would be to have an image without a caption. That could be, for example, I don't know, if you get an item, you just see the image here of the item and then some text. For example, not sure if I do it like that, but that would be one possibility. And the last one would be without an image, without a caption, just the text itself. So there I have a test for that, and I have a lot of other tests available. Let me think, is there one other interaction test maybe? So that one is trying or verifying that, for example, the player can only interact with one entity at a time, which is the nearest one to him. So here you see there would be 3 entities in a row, but the one which gets highlighted with the outline and the one where we would interact with would be this mushroom here with the red outline. If I move right, so I can move the up, down, left, right keys to actually change the direction where the player is facing. The graphic is not representing it in the test, but that is what is happening in the background. And there I can also test, for example, when I go right, I would interact with this entity. If I go left, it would be this one. And when I go down, it would be this one. So there I always spend some time for the different systems and features that I develop to also have a proper test environment in case something breaks, that I can easily then fix it or know that something was breaking. If you sell the game in a boxed version, I want my review at the front stating it's okay. That would be quite an achievement if it gets the is okay stamp from Valvoric. Yeah, one final thing, and I think that's it then for today that I want to show. I also have some, I would say, a better structure in my game than I have in other games. Like, for example, this map transition effect that I showed before. Normally, when I develop such features, they are very, I would say, tightly coupled into the game, and it's actually impossible, not impossible, but it's very difficult to remove that feature. And that is sometimes quite annoying, because if you want to test something very quickly, maybe you need to go to the third map or whatever, and you always have then this map transition effect and need to wait for all of that stuff, could be a little bit annoying. And that's why, for example, here, I have a so-called service locator with the main services of my game currently. So the batch, it's not really a service, but it's the, you could call it like that. It's the thing that is responsible for drawing something to the screen. Then an asset service for the asset management, event service for event management, and so on. And there is a map transition service. And there are actually two implementations. One is this default map transition service that we just saw. But there is another one, which is called immediate map transition service. And when we start the game now, I hope that that one is still working. Then we don't have this transition effect from the map. Okay, wait. You cannot leave the village actually unless you have spoken to the elder. That is also a trigger which then disappears when we talk to the elder. So now I can leave the map. And as you see, so now there is not this smooth and cool map transition effect. Now it's simply immediately teleporting me to the next map without waiting for this other effect or transition effect to start. And so, yeah, so that is why also in this game, it takes a little bit longer than some other games because I always have a look at how you can solve different problems and I try out different solutions and yeah, fiddle a little bit around with it. And for me personally, try to find the best solution, at least at the moment in time when I develop that feature. And I think that's it. Yeah, so that's maybe one interesting thing. So during the Quilly, how do they call it? I think Quilly Jumper game that we developed the last time. There I used tiles to, I think, create items or configure entities in the game, if I remember correctly, like the chainsaw and the player and so on. And I use the same approach here again in that game as well. So it's not final how it's currently working, but I have an objects tile set. And there, for example, I have the player where you can see the different attributes that the player starts with. So these are the default settings, like the speed, again, the attributes, then some physics definition, where is the graphic, what is his default animation. I think that's it for normal entities currently. I think I will split that up later on because currently it's just a map object class, which is too generic now, in my opinion. I will split that up between maybe the player itself, then NPC configuration, because an NPC, for example, does not need stats. So for an NPC, the stats information will always be empty. It does not make sense to have there something available. So that's why it makes sense to have different classes for different object types. There is so for enemy, I also used the map object. Okay. For items, yeah, exactly. For items, I used a different one, which has a reduced amount of information. For example, the physics stuff information, dialogue, trigger stuff, all of that is not needed for an item because an item simply increases your stats. So that's why it has some stats information. And in the future, most likely it will also have some abilities. So it might be that, for example, a sword gives you a 20% critical strike is part of the stats. Let me come up with something else. Maybe a chance that every third attack you cast a fireball in a fight, for example. That would be an ability, and that would can come here below. And yeah, all this entity configuration is again done in tiled because I like that actually a lot because it also has this collision editor, which makes it very easy and convenient to configure the collision and the collision shapes and also the sensors in Box2D, which is really great and intuitive for me. And I'm not sure if I showed that to you but I remember that also in Quilly Jumper, I struggled to select then when there are overlapping shapes in the collision editor. And then I was struggling to select the one on the lowest layer, and I had to move everything left to right to get to it. But there I found now something that this button here at the top right is an object list button, and you could actually then show that. And then it's very easy to select the different shapes, because here you have then a list of all the shapes and can simply select them. I did not know that before. I think I found that out during this development of that game. So there, also from a usability point of view, I find that very convenient. Good, and I think that's actually it. And I will now go to bed because I'm a little bit tired. It's Friday. I could not sleep in the afternoon, which I usually like to do on a Friday, but today, for whatever reason, I could not sleep. And yeah, tomorrow I will most likely do a stream, and there I will work on this music and sound support. I have already an idea how I want to integrate that into the game. So there will be a little programming session. The time will most likely be the same as today, maybe a little bit later, because I bring my son to bed and he sleeps normally between 8 and 8:30. So most likely the stream starts 8:30. Tomorrow, Saturday. Hope to see you guys again there. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Have a nice evening and bye-bye.